Walking down these empty streets, echoes of the past I meet. Lost and wandering for so long, searching for where I belong. Sunrise breaking through the night, guiding me back to the light. Every step feels like a prayer, promises hang in the air. Come back home, heal your heart, where the love never parts. Come back home, find your peace. In this place, your pain will cease. Memories of laughter and tears, answers to my deepest fears. In these walls I find my truth, washing away the years. Ruth, oh, the road was long and rough, but my spirit's had enough. Here in the sanctuary, healing feels extraordinary. Come back home, heal your heart, where the love never parts. Come back home, find your peace. In this place, your pain will cease. Was long and rough, but my spirit's had enough. Here in the sanctuary, healing feels extraordinary. Come back home, heal your heart, where the love never parts. Come back home, find your peace. In this place, your pain will cease. Walking down these empty streets, echoes of the past I meet. Lost and wandering for so long, searching for where I belong. Sunrise breaking through the night, guiding me back to the light. Every step feels like a prayer, promises hang in the air. Come back home, heal your heart, where the love never parts. Come back home, find your peace. In this place, your pain will cease. Memories of laughter and tears, answers to my deepest fears. In these walls I find my truth, washing away the years. Ruth, oh, the road was long and rough, but my spirit's had enough. Here in the sanctuary, healing feels extraordinary. Come back home, heal your heart, where the love never parts. Come back home, find your peace. In this place, your pain will cease.
think you should be able to hear me now. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I think we got it together now. Let me know if you can hear me in the chat. Good morning, everybody. This is Relationship Friday. There you go. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Y'all got me now. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Dear Brother podcast and the Dear Sister podcast. We are streaming live from both platforms today. It's Relationship Friday, everybody. It's Relationship Friday, and today we are discussing starting over, dating in your midlife, dating after divorce, dating after a long-term relationship. Midlife, we're talking about the people between the ages of 35 and 55. We're talking about y'all folks that's in your 38s and your early 40s. Been married, been through some things. That's what we're talking about this morning. We're going to get into this. Um, but let me know how you're doing this morning. If you're in the chat, let me know how you're doing. Happy Friday to you. Let me know how you're doing this morning, everybody. If everything is going well for you, jump in the chat. Good morning, everybody. All right. We're talking about this morning. We're going to get into this. Let me see here. But let me know how you're doing this morning. All right. Good morning, everybody, as you're coming in the chat. Good morning. Sorry for the delay. Sorry for the delay this morning on the sound. I had technical difficulties, had to get my mic together. But good morning. We're talking today about dating in your midlife, starting over. Talking to those folks that's divorced, or after a long-term breakup. After some of you have gone through a rough relationship. Some of you have taken time off from the dating scene, taken time off from the dating pool. Some people, I've heard people say that the dating pool is dirty, there's nothing in it, it's horrible. So we're going to get into it this morning. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about emotional baggage today, right? That's one of our topics today. We're talking about emotional baggage. We're going to talk about fear of rejection, because it's different now. I'm 44. I don't know how old you guys are, but I'm 44. I know for a fact that dating is different. Dating is different at 44, 45, 50 than it was when we were 19, 20, and 30 years old. It's a lot of life is different. Life is different. Life has changed. Things are different than they were when we were younger. You got more experience. You tolerate less. I want to talk about that today. I want to talk about the concept of you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Is that true? Is that a true concept? Is that a true concept? I want to get into it this morning. So yeah, we'll talk about emotional baggage this morning, everybody. We'll talk about fear of rejection at this age and stage of your life. We'll talk about the evolving landscape of dating. How has the dating landscape changed since you were in it before? We'll talk about this. We'll talk about whether the people are different. Whether people are different now than they were before. Is dating different now? Are people different now? How do people date differently now than they did before? We're going to get into it today because, hey, this is a good topic for us to get into. It's a big topic everybody's talking about. A lot of people are talking about dating now and what it means and where people are in life. Last Friday we got into the concept of blended families, and that became a big discussion. So we'll get into it today. Also, we'll go back into parenting and family dynamics when you have children and you're bringing a child into a situation, right? And lastly, we'll talk about self-doubt. We'll talk about body image. Some of y'all still look like you did when you were 20. Some of you still look like you did when you were 30. I don't look the same. So we'll talk about that. This is a vulnerable show. We share our hearts. We talk about vulnerable things, just to help people. I think the more honest we can be, we can help other generations of where they are and what's going on in their life in this dating world. And so I also put some questions out on the table that I'll ask, and we'll get into that as well. So let me see here. All right. Good. All right. So we're working. All right, everybody. So we'll get into it today. I think the first question I want to put on the table. I want to put a question on the table. We're talking about starting over, dating in your midlife, dating after divorce. dating after dating after a long-term relationship. I want to put a question out on the table for us this morning. The question I have is, what's the biggest challenge of re-entering the dating world at this stage of life? What's for some of you that are single, even for some of you that are married, that you just see things how they have changed over time. Let's talk about that this morning a little bit. What are the biggest challenges we see re-entering the dating world? At the dating world when you're starting at this stage of life, it's different. It's definitely different. I know people aren't the same. I know one of my biggest things is one of the biggest conversations I have with a lot of people dating after divorce or this midlife stage of life. A lot of people are very frustrated. A lot of people are very frustrated because I think after you've been married a long time or you got married early in life, you get it back out here in this dating pool, and this dating pool is much different than it was. People are different. One of the questions that I used to ask when we used to talk to my friends, we would joke about being single at a later age in life. And a lot of my friends say, man, it's scary out here. It's scary. The question is, who's raising people anymore? I think in my age and stage, and I don't want to sound like the old get off my lawn type of guy, but I was taught to treat people a certain way. I was taught to talk to people a certain way. We see it different now. We see things being different now. People are different. Let me see who's in the chat. Good morning. Let me see. Natasha, okay. Learning someone else. Red flags. Okay. Red flags. Let's talk about red flags. That's a really good point. Learning someone else. You know what? Let me ask y'all something. With the concept of learning someone else, right? After you go through divorce or you've been in a relationship a long time, when it comes to learning someone else, do in our age stage, I don't know how old you are, Natasha, but in our age stage and group or after divorce, is it harder to date? Is it harder to date, or do you get to a point where you don't feel like learning someone else? Are we choosing to be single because we don't want to go through what it is to learn someone else? Is it easier to just be by yourself at a certain age? Let's talk a little bit this morning. So let me bring up this topic. What else? What else is out there? Let's get into some other things. What else is out there? What else? And Natasha, I want to ask you, if you're still on, sis. How are you handling learning? How are you handling this new dating era? How are you handling it? Are you into learning someone else? After, I don't know if you're divorced or your situation, but have you decided that it's not worth dating anymore? Is it easier to just be by yourself in this time? Let's talk about it. Let me see. So I want to talk. Number one, I want to talk about emotional baggage. I think that in relationship, I know, I got divorced. I've been divorced for about 7 years. It's about 7 years, and I think as older people, I wonder. It really comes down to can you teach an old dog new tricks? Are you willing to learn new things at this age and stage, or are you stuck in your way? Do you still have emotional baggage? It's not easy to let go of emotional baggage as it was when we were young, or as it was before you fell in love for the first time, or because no one gets married to get divorced. People hang in there. No one gets married to get divorced. No one has in their mind, I'm going to get divorced, but I think a lot of times we carry emotional baggage into new relationships. I think that's a big issue that we'll run into of trying to carry this new baggage into old baggage into new relationships. And sometimes are we being fair to the new person? I think sometimes at this age, if you don't have a level of maturity, a certain level of maturity, we look for people that will be willing to deal with our baggage instead of our willingness to put it away. Are we bringing a lot of guilt? Are we bringing the broken heart or the betrayed heart into new relationship? Because we can also talk about this. Do you become the person that sabotages relationships? Are you the person that ends up sabotaging relationships? You finding everything wrong with it because of fear of new relationship, because of fear of failure again. Are we in a space where we carrying emotional baggage and it's influencing our new relationships? How many people have ever been there? Again, this is the vulnerable station. This is a vulnerable show. We don't get into to the nonsense talk that the internet does. We're gonna have real talk. Or have you ever sabotaged a relationship? You thought you were ready. Closeness got scary. Let's talk. Let me see who's in the chat. Okay, Natasha, I'm currently married. About to divorce. You're 35. Okay. Good morning, Nia. Good morning. Let me put this back up, Natasha. Okay, you're currently married. About to divorce. Okay. 35. Grown woman. Are you interested? I mean, you're currently married, so that's another question we could put on the table. Is there a certain time people should wait? Is that real? Is that real? Some people say, look, you should wait, you should heal. I think we got to be careful with that conversation about people telling you, wait, you should heal. How do you know whether you're healed or not? How do you know whether you were even broken? You can go through a bad relationship and not get broken by it. Everybody's not broken. Everybody doesn't need to be healed. I think healed has become one of those words where we like to use it a lot, but everyone doesn't need to be healed. There are some people that are actually absolutely healed. There are some people that never took damage from their relationship. So it's a lot we can talk about. Let me see. Tasha, come okay. I got married at 27. I'm not the same 27. Yes. See, that's big. That's big, y'all. Because before I even get on reading, that's big. Natasha saying, look, she was 27 when she got me. She's not the same 27. That's another thing about relationship, y'all. That's another hard part about relationship. You can be married to somebody, but you got to really know that person is not going to stay the same. You're not going to stay the same. That's why you can't build relationship based on temporal feelings. You can't build relationships on the high of love you feel from somebody. Because guess what? You might feel that high of love at 21, 22, 27 like Natasha, or when I got married 7 years ago. I'm 39, I believe, 38 I was or something like that. I get married and I was broken in my head. I was broken in my mind, still broken, right? And so again, you never know. Let me see. I'm 27. I'm going to take time to learn the 35-year-old Natasha. That's very good. I'm okay with starting over with someone new, but I have learned a lot of lessons and will apply. Absolutely, because it's self-preservation. It's not self-care. It's not selfish. And when we talk about self-care, it's not always about hair, nails, and makeup. And for gentlemen, it's not always us going to the gym to get buff. Sometimes self-care is like Natasha is saying, is applying the lessons to your life. Right? It's not about all these other things. The inner work is where it's at. Am I saying the outer work is not important? It's very important, but it's never, outer work on your life is never as important as working on the inner life. Why? Because listen, when you work on your outer life, a lot of times that is for the opinions of people. That's for how people might feel about you, how people see you. But at the end of the day, especially when you get 35, 36, 37, upward 40, 50, 55, and you're in this new dating world, it's not going to matter how you look. It's going to matter how you are. It's going to matter how you are. And the sad thing about this new generation and this new society is that everything's about how you look. It's never about how you are, really. Right? Or people just forgive how people are. Now it seems like there's no standard in how you should be now. Now again, is that making the dating pool harder for older people? Let's talk about it. Very good. Let me see. I believe you can heal with someone. I'm not broken. Okay. Now I'm gonna push back a little bit on that. I agree. You can heal with someone, but you know what? Does that get sticky? Can that be a sticky thing to heal with someone? Right? Because can that become baggage to something new? Right? Can that? It's a question. Let's put it out there. It's a question, because when you heal with someone, what if they're broken? What if they're hurt? Right? If you need to be healed, then there's spaces that you're still broken in. And how far can that go? Or you got to have some deep level of maturity when you want to heal with somebody. Both people have to have it. Let me see. As you said, it's harder at this age, to date. I have encountered some men still think they can play the field. They can still, yes. A lot of people do feel like they can play the field. But you know what? This is the thing. They can play the field. They just can't play it with you. Right? This is another thing I say a lot of times when people get in relationships. This is the thing. Relationship is a choice. Relationship of choice. One thing I never understood was the cheating concept. Like, why cheat on somebody if you don't like them enough to want to be with somebody else? Then just go ahead and be with the other person you want to be with. Why drag someone through through the fact that you kind of half want to be there or not? I never understood that concept. Because if relationship is about being happy, then go ahead and be happy. I never understood what's the point of carrying two or three people. I really think that the cheating thing is more brokenness in the person. A lot of times when people get into cheating, it's a validation that they're looking for. It's a validation that comes from many places. That's another thing that comes with it. And then also a lot of times, guys, cheating doesn't begin with any type of actual relationship. A lot of times cheating begins with people who feel neglected or rejected by the people they with. And they begin to look for that validation because they can't find it inside the relationship. Right? We're not going to talk about whether that's right, wrong, or different. That's one of the biggest problems we have when we talk about relationship. For everybody's coming in, welcome. It's Relationship Friday. We're streaming on two stations, on two of my channels today, the Dear Brother Podcast and the Dear Sister Podcast. On Fridays, I bring a topic to the table about relationships, and we all get in there and talk about it together, the brothers and the sisters. I think it's a good concept. I think men and women need to talk more about our feelings, about what's going on. I think we're confused about each other. We really are. I think men don't understand women and women don't understand men. And I think we fight against each other instead of looking for understanding. God made us different for a reason. God made us different for a reason because it's a fulfillment that happens in your life when you connect with the right person. And so I think that we really have to have, in forums like this, have better conversations. That's why I started the Dear Sister Podcast. For some of you that don't know, some of you sisters, I have a podcast, again, called the Dear Sister Podcast. It allows me to speak to women from a male perspective and allows me to give them advice. I think a lot of women, I think every woman needs a man that can give them wisdom, knowledge, understanding, give them love without expecting nothing in return. That's why I started the Dear Sister Podcast. I don't think a lot of you sisters have anybody that will love you without expecting something from you, give you advice without expecting something from you. So welcome y'all to Relationship Friday. The topic on the table today is midlife dating. Midlife dating. Let's get into it. Dating after divorce, dating after a long-term relationship. Let me see. All right, it's definitely sticky. Absolutely can get sticky because then you have two broken people, right? Trying to fix each other. The problem is when you're broken, you're not usually trying to fix someone else. You're trying to get something fulfilled within you. That's the danger of connecting with a broken person, because what you have is what you usually, when you connect two broken people, what you have is what you call a struggle love. It's a struggle love, right? It's a lot of times it's a bond based on brokenness. And when you build a relationship based on brokenness, then that relationship will eventually break, because the excitement of two people getting together won't make a relationship last. It's not the glue that makes a relationship last. Excitement doesn't keep a relationship, right? Understanding does. And when you have two broken people, as much as they might love each other, don't get this twisted. You can really love someone and not be able to be with them because if both people are needing something and both people are not bringing much because they're both broken, eventually the relationship will fall apart. Because the relationship won't be about togetherness. It will be more about what I can get from you and what you can get from me. And that's the issue in dating after 40. Let's get into it a little bit. Let's talk a little more. So emotional baggage. Listen, y'all, it's hard. It's hard not to bring a baggage when you're at this age, when you're between the ages of 35 and 55. That's the group I want to talk to today. When you're in that age range, it's hard not to bring baggage. It really is. You have it. You have opinions about certain things, right? Right. It's not going to be as easy, y'all, to meet somebody now because there's some places where you lifted your standard. There's other places where you become stubborn. See, and that's a good conversation. I don't want us to mix standard with stubborn. See, that's a whole nother podcast. That's a whole nother podcast we could talk about. Because when we talk about standards, standard is one thing. And I'm not saying anyone shouldn't have a standard. Everyone should have a standard. But I think sometimes we twist what's between standard and stubborn. At this age, you can get very stubborn and end up being by yourself, right? And let the truth be told, y'all, at this age and stage, live vulnerability. At a certain point, if every relationship you're in hasn't worked out, you're the only common denominator in those relationships. Everybody else can't be broken, right? That's one of the biggest things you have to face. What did you do to a relationship. See, you can't get to a place where you're willing to always play the victim. You can't say you dated 5 people through your life and all 5 people was trash and everybody you meet is trash. No. Are there some broken people you meet? Absolutely. But is there much brokenness in us that allows us to move the way we do? Absolutely it does. We bring baggage to relationships and you can't expect someone else to carry it. You can't. Right? A lot of you ladies say this, look, if you're going to accept me, you got to accept all of me. Let me tell you something, ladies. And everything I'm saying is vice versa. No one has to accept all of you. They don't. There's some personal work that we got to do on ourselves as men and women before we bring ourselves to somebody else's life and say, look, if you love me, you got to deal with me. No one has to deal with that. No one has to deal with the part of your life you should have been dealing with. You understand? Right? Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to understand this is a balanced conversation. Right? I don't mind us challenging men or challenging women, but I think it's too much of that going on the internet. We're challenging each other more than understanding each other. And what we need to really understand is that no one owes you no one owes you a hand in carrying your baggage. No one. Now, if someone loves you enough, they can help you get it off your back and put it down, but you can't expect someone else to help you carry your baggage. That's not their duty. It's not their duty. Let me see who's in the chat. Let me see. Yes, absolutely, Jacqueline. Absolutely. But let me ask you a question. Let me ask the room a question. Throw it in the chat. Why is it, y'all, that we're not honest about our baggage? Why aren't we honest about our baggage? Why won't we be honest about our baggage? What is it? I got some theories. One of my theories is that I think that we're scared that we will be rejected. I think a lot of us are afraid that we will be rejected. That's the facts. I think a lot of us are very afraid that we'll be rejected. So you don't tell the truth about certain situations. You won't do it. You will not do it because you're afraid that someone won't accept you. But guess what? It's better to go ahead and tell the truth, right? Because you're going to wind up into a bad situation later on. Right? But you can't hide it for so long. When you're broken, you can't hide that brokenness, but for so long. Let me see. Not honest with them. Okay. I agree. I agree, Natasha. I don't think a lot of people are very honest with themselves. And that's such a brilliant point. Let me put that back up. Right? That's such a brilliant point. Right? Honest with themselves. You got to be honest with yourself about your baggage. Right? Some people don't even want to admit that they have baggage. Right? Because you know what we do, y'all? We say, you know what? My baggage is, we call it, instead of calling it baggage, we say, no, this is just me. No, it's not just you. Right? Stop claiming your baggage in the way that your baggage is your personality. No. See, once you do that, then you're stuck and you're guess what? I'm going to say something that's going to hurt you, but many of us are not worthy of a relationship when you have tied yourself to your baggage and called your baggage you. Oh, that's me. If they want to be with me, they just got to deal with that. No. That's that. You're you. But if you are that, you can never wonder why someone won't date you, especially as an older person. Because I don't care how much you want to love and be in love. When you hit a certain point of life, 35 and up usually, especially when you hit your 40 and up, you become stubborn about certain things. Certain things you're refusing to change. And it takes a certain love to make you consider changing. No one can change you, but you can love someone enough to consider you changing you. But nobody can change you. And I want to say that to you ladies. I don't care how much you love a man. You cannot change a man. You cannot change a man. You can't. Your love won't change him. Your cooking won't change him, right? Your intimacy won't change him, right? If he loves you enough, he'll consider changing himself for you, but you can never change him. Let me see. People don't even admit that. Yeah, never. See, that's the issue. In a relationship, no one wants to admit. Even when you date someone else, and someone will tell you everything bad about their ex, but they won't say anything about themselves. That's scary. It's scary when someone will tell you everything about what they've been through, but won't ever tell you about their part in what they've suffered. That person is a dangerous person, right? You stay far away from someone who has a story on everybody else, and they listen, because that's one of the issues. That's one of the issues I put it in my notes for you all this morning. One of the major issues when you're dating in midlife, after divorce, after separation, or after a long-term relationship, a lot of times the issue is you won't admit what part you played, because you will end up playing that part again and over. See, this is just a stage. And you'll wind up playing that same part in another relationship, saying, I can't find anybody good, when the fact is, a lot of times you are the cause of your own delay, and you're the sabotager of every love situation you have. Right? We got to be very honest about this. What happened to my let's get some focus going. All right. Come on, camera. Let me see. Let me see. Fear of rejection is a real thing. But that baggage will become apparent once we are triggered. Yes. My goodness. What's going on? Come on, camera. All right. Yes. Let's see. Fear of rejection is a real thing. But that baggage will become apparent once we are triggered. Being honest will build trust, and it gives the opportunity to create healthy boundaries in the beginning. Very, very. Let me ask you something, ladies. I'm gonna ask you from brother's perspective, right? I'm gonna ask the ladies, why is it so hard for women to admit wrong? Flat out question. I've had a lot of conversations with women about this, and a lot of women have very openly admitted how hard it is to be wrong. And some of them have told me because it's something in a woman that wants to present everything that's well and is well put together, and I'm good. It's not that you're trying to trick anybody, but you want to feel like I got it together. I'm holding everything together, and a lot of times you won't be honest about your pain. Because I'm gonna tell you from a man's perspective. That's why I love this podcast, especially when I bring them together. From a man's perspective, I've talked to a lot of men, right? And I ain't talking about just in this country. I've traveled and I've counseled men globally. One of the hardest things for men is that a lot of women won't be honest about their brokenness, about what's wrong with them. And eventually relationships break up because the man feels like he's the only one that has all this work to do. Right? Because a lot of women, you will tell a man, this is what's wrong with you. This is what you need to work on. You. But when it comes down to women, a lot of men bail out, or they get tired of feeling like they're the only one climbing the mountain. And I'll get story time. I'll give you a story. I was about 10 years old. I'll never forget this. I remember my dad saying to my mom, they weren't yelling and screaming. They were having a disagreement, but I remember my dad saying to my mom, I could hear the brokenness in him. And I didn't understand it at 10, but I understand it at 44. He said to my mom, he said, is there anything ever wrong with you? Or is it always just me? Do you ever have anything to fix or work on? Or is it always just me? And you can hear the brokenness in that man's voice. I'll never forget it. And when I talk to different men, a lot of men are tired of feeling like the woman is perfect and he got so much brokenness. You can save your relationship, sisters, by telling your man, I'm broken too. I'm hurt too. I'm disappointed too. I don't do this right. I'm scared of this. I'm scared of that. You be more honest with your man, sis. I'm telling you, have a better relationship. And I'm not here to argue. I'm not here, but man, this is a mature channel. We converse. We don't conflict. Let me see. We don't like taking accountability. Listen, y'all. Anita Baker is the only woman I ever heard apologize, and that's because she wrote a song when she said, "I apologize, oh believe me, I do. I apologize." Right? That was the only woman I ever heard apologize. Right? Right? I'm gonna tell y'all. So what is that, ladies? Talk to me. What is that makes y'all go so hard to protect this space? Because you'll tell your girlfriend you're broken. You'll tell your girlfriend you're tired. You'll tell your girlfriend, look, I ain't got this together. But you won't tell your man that. And listen, we want, this is a balanced conversation. Let me see. Some of us don't know. I sat with a counselor last night and she revealed to me some things I wasn't aware of. Absolutely. Because we don't communicate our feelings. We don't, especially as men. Let me tell you this. We don't know how. A lot of people don't know how, y'all. That's where grace got to come in too. And in fact, I would venture to say that most of us don't know how, right? Especially in our community, a lot of times we were taught survival. We were taught survival. We were taught to pay the bills. We were taught to hang in there. But a lot of us weren't ever taught to talk. Think about it in your life. How many relationships did you grow up watching that were healthy relationships? Or even now, how many relationships do you see that you can go to and say, hey, I'm not talking perfect relationships. I'm talking about when you know somebody, people really love each other, right? We haven't had a lot of examples of that. And I think that's why these conversations are so healthy, because when we can start admitting things like this, when a woman can say to a man, hey, I never saw a woman love a man properly. Right? And if a man can say, hey, baby, I never saw a man love a woman properly. See, in that situation, you can have some growth. You can fix things in that situation. But when you have a man coming saying, look, I got the goods, baby, trying to impress her, and the woman's coming to him trying to impress him. And maybe that's the problem, y'all. Maybe we do much. Maybe at this age and stage, this midlife, we're trying to do too much to impress somebody or to catch somebody instead of being honest to keep somebody. I'm going to make that into a short. Let me see. Takoa, I think at times it's the way to communicate, I think at times it's the way the communication happens. Yes, I believe it. I believe it. And a lot of times, again, we don't know how to communicate, right? You know what we do? Let me tell y'all what we do. This is how we come to a conversation, right? We come to the conversation chin tucked, fist up, right? We come to the conversation, or we come to the disagreement ready, as if we're enemies, right? And when you've been hurt, everybody's an enemy. So you definitely come in like this. You see? Think about it, y'all. You might look like this. You come into a new relationship, you meet somebody new, you're all excited, but inside you're from here. Tell the truth now. Tell the truth. And this don't show, like Nicole was saying earlier, this don't show up at first. This is this. Oh, you're so beautiful. Oh, you're so handsome. Oh, you're so smart. Blah, 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 blah. Right? But you got two people inside ready for a brawl because we haven't been taught how to properly communicate. And so to start out, we're talking well, but then eventually the monster comes out. What's the monster? The monster is not really a monster. The monster that comes out is the you that doesn't want to be hurt again. And when you bring that to the table, if you don't admit that, you're in for a disaster. If you admit that, you're in for a good relationship. Let me say. In the past, I've gotten defensive, but it was honestly based on my feeling of me, based on me feeling attacked. Absolutely. And that's the question. That's the thing, y'all. Where does that come from? That comes from what I was talking about earlier. Baggage. It's baggage that puts you in that fighting pose, right? It's baggage. And what's inside of baggage? Triggers. You have a bag full of what? Triggers. That's what baggage is. Baggage is a bag full of triggers. And all it takes, a lot of times when you've been very, very hurt, very, very hurt, it don't take a punch in the face, right? Something that really hits you hard is what I'm saying. Not a physical punch in the face. It don't take it just takes a right? Someone can rub your face like this, but that trigger, you see what I'm saying? It don't take much. That trigger, just like that. And you're going off. Because what that shows you is there's still a lot of your past in you. And a lot of people will say you have to totally heal from that. A lot of times, you know what healing begins? Healing begins with admitting and forgiving. Healing begins with admitting and forgiving. Forgiving who? Yourself. Because when you get this age and stage of our life, we talking about midlife. We talking about dating after divorce and dating after long-term relationships. Or we talking about people that are widows and widowers. You see what I'm saying? When you get to this age and stage in life, you are looking for something higher, but you got to be able to admit where you are in order to even let someone in. Let me see. Takoa, I've never saw my parents exhibit healthy communication. You see what I'm saying? Now that's a good point. With my parents, what I saw my parents do was I saw them take care of each other, but from a distant love. You know, my mom always cooked for my dad, and they had jokes and what I'm saying, but I never saw them just be in there together, you know, kind of, right? My dad had this little den he would hang out with. My mom would watch basketball in the kitchen on this little small TV. They loved each other. They took care of each other, but I never seen them be up close with each other, right? So what did that do? What that began to do was make me believe that as a man, as long as you take care of your family financially and everybody's good and you crack a couple jokes, then that was all I needed to do. I had to learn that there was much more. I had to learn there was much more. Great point, Taco. Let me see. Brother Dashel, good morning, my brother. My wife and I came to an understanding later in our marriage. Neither one of us knew what it meant to be married. And it took a lot of prayer and trials and testing to get in a place we are now. Therapy works, but you have to want to do the work. Let me read the rest of it. Both of us had to understand the trauma we both experienced growing up. See, Dashel. Now, see, that's such a brilliant point, my brother, because I still, every now and then, people will reach out to me and ask me to do marriage counseling. And you know what my marriage counseling is now? My marriage counseling is based on how you grew up. The last couple I counseled them for 1 year straight. And they will tell you, I never really talked much about their relationship. I spent the first 6 to 7 months of their counseling, right? 7 out of 12 months, I was just talking about how you grew up, what you saw growing up, how you see love, what does intimacy look like, what does care look like, where does stubbornness. I talked to them about what they saw in their house, because what you grew up with is what you ultimately will bring. Even if you say, I'll never be my parents, I'll never do what they did. Let me tell you something. No one has to sit down and teach you a lesson. You will carry out what you saw. You understand what I'm saying? And you also at times become what you hated, become what you said you never become. It also happens in parenting. You can say, I can't stand how my parent parented me in this area. And you'll become that same thing until you confront it. You understand what I'm saying? And I want to say this too. I want to say this to a lot of religious people, especially in church. I want to say this because a lot of marriages in church aren't based on love at all. A lot of people did the scripture, it's better to marry than to burn, right? A lot of people got married based on guilt in religion and in Christianity. They got married based on the fact that they were guilty for having sex, so they just married someone. Yes, a lot of people got married because they were pregnant and they figured, let me put on this dress before my belly starts showing, right? A lot of people in religious systems get married for status. A lot of Christian women get married because they're tired of being single and seeing everybody else get married. See, we got to be very careful because there's not a lot of wisdom that happens in these marriages in churches. People are being thrown together. And the thing about churches, they'll teach you to be married, but they won't teach you who to marry, and they won't teach you how marriage works. You know why? Because most of the people that got married, most of our old heads lived in separate rooms. And that's why they give you scriptures while they're marriage counseling you. They can't talk about real life marriage because a lot of them old heads didn't have it. Let me see. What are the true intentions and motives? Absolutely. See, and that's not discussed. But you know what? I think true intentions and motives must be perceived. You must be wise enough to perceive what somebody's motives are. And the question is, how do you perceive somebody's motives? You got to slow your pace down. See, a lot of times especially when you're old head, when you're that 35, 34, 40, 40, 45, when you're between that 35 and 55, a lot of times you're so excited to be loved. You're so excited to feel love, especially after you've been through some things, that what you'll do is the conversations will become shorter and you'll be more about what you're feeling more than about what this really is. So you got to be very careful. At this age and stage of life. I'm serious. You have to be very careful because you think, oh, I'm older and I'm wiser. You're also more lonely, right? Right? And you'll make a young kid decision at 45, 50 years old because of your feelings. Let me tell you, I don't care how old you get. Your feelings don't go away. And if your feelings are not under control, you'll make a young kid decision. Let me see. We be broken from our child, and from our parents, not having fathers, watching our mothers struggle. Yes. It started way before relationship and marriage. Yes. Getting married, trying to start your own family with trauma baggage triggers one argument. Let me read the rest over. One wrong argument, or you're going to explode, and it had nothing to do with the person. Absolutely. You know why, y'all? Because in some cases, we've married marriage and not the person. A lot of people, especially in I'm talking to us now. I'm talking to us between 35 and 55. A lot of times in our generation, it was taught be married, have a family, have stability, and we start moving toward that without actually looking at the person. A lot of us married the concept of marriage, not realizing we were marrying an actual person. And marrying marriage is dangerous. Because you're not absolutely, at the end of the day, you're not marrying marriage. You're not marrying a concept. You're marrying a human being. And yes, and that's what makes us ignore all our stuff. Because I'm getting married. When people talk like that, they're marrying the concept, not a human being. Let me see. My ex used to say, he doesn't put nobody past nobody. I'm like, you can't be in a relationship. Yes, he didn't trust anybody. Right? You see what I'm saying? Yes, that's the thing. You can't be in a relationship, and I think it's a space where we need to be honest about that, y'all. There's certain times where you say, you know what, I can't be in a relationship, and nothing's wrong. Absolutely nothing's wrong with saying that. Nothing's wrong with saying I can't do that. I'm not built for that. I said that for many years. I'm not built for that, and being able to say I'm not built for that. What that means is it means that you're self-aware enough to know. It don't mean you're a bad person. It don't make the person a bad person that wants to date you. What it's saying is you're wise enough to know I'm not built for that at this moment in my life. And sometimes you're not built for it at all. Right? I know me, I'm always, for me personally, I'm self-aware enough to know that I'm moving, I'm shaking, I'm thinking, I'm writing a book, I'm trying to go here, I'm trying to speak to these people, I'm trying to save the world. That's me. That's just who I am. So what happens is I don't have time at a season in my life. I didn't have time for a lot of arguments about nonsense, minuscule things. To me, when you're trying to change, when you're trying to be a world changer, things in relationships is like, I'm like, okay, I'm trying to do this and you want to talk about this? Now, I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. I'm just saying I'm self-aware enough to know that I'm out here trying to change a society and you want to argue about what? And again, it might be this big to the person, but to me, it won't feel that big when I'm out here trying to change society. I know enough about me to know that I could never be with a person that wants to argue about minuscule things, because to me, they'll begin to look minuscule, whether that's right, wrong, or indifferent. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying who I am. Some people have time for that. I remember saying that to somebody I was dating one time. I remember saying it was always some type of drama, always some type of just. And I said to her one time, I said, if I clocked in a 9 to 5 and I had like a thoughtless job I didn't have to really think about, and I could just clock in and clock out, I could deal with you. But I don't have my work is 24 hours. I'm always thinking, always creating something, always trying to make some money because I don't have a check coming in. I got to make my money. I don't have time to argue with you about the smallest things. I knew that about myself. What do you know about yourself? That's the question. If you want to have healthy dating in between 35 and 55, what do you know about yourself, both good and bad? What do you know about yourself? That's the question. What do you know about yourself? Let me see. That's sure. You're telling the truth. I always said I'm not going to be like my dad. End up being just like him. When it came down to women. Right. But also be careful what you say over your children. Because my mom constantly said, you're just like your dad. You act just like your dad. That right there, especially for believers, isn't the way to walk. Right. That's that negative talk. That's negative talk. That ties you to the sins of your father. Y'all want to get deep? Then we can really start talking about the sins of the mothers and the fathers. Another thing I think we should talk about today, and I'm going to throw it out there and see whether y'all bite in the chat. Another thing we need to talk about today is we always talk about bad fathering. You rarely hear about bad mothering. And the reason I believe that conversation doesn't happen a lot is because there's an emotional imbalance to the conversation when it comes down to men and women. There's a certain forgiveness that happens for a mother that does not happen for a father. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. But bad mothering is just as dangerous and terrible as bad fathering. But we don't talk about that enough. A lot of mothers have broken their daughters. A lot of mothers have broken their sons. And until that becomes a real conversation, y'all, we'll never really see healing. We can have the conversation here. I'm not scared of it. Y'all see, this is the mature channel where we converse and learn. We ain't got to argue over here. That's why if you're on YouTube right now, hit the like button. Everybody that's on Facebook right now, please go over to YouTube to either the Dear Sister Podcast or the Dear Brother Podcast. Hit that subscribe button. If you're on YouTube, hit the like button right now. All right. And since we've been on for 52 minutes. My God, we've been on for almost an hour. Let me take my time right now for my little commercial break. All right. Y'all don't mind me doing my commercial break. Let me see. Ladies, the Soul of Sarah. Go get it right now. It's on Amazon.com. It's available to you right now on Amazon.com. Ladies, go get the Soul of Sarah. I redone this book. I wrote this book years ago. I re-released this book with a new chapter in it. My daughter also co-wrote with me in this book, but I wrote a chapter in this book. The last chapter is about who to say I do to. How does a woman know? Because any man can ask a woman to marry him, but how does a woman know he's the right one to say I do to? I wrote a 5th chapter in this book right here that will that talks about who to say I do to. Ladies, go get this book right now on Amazon.com. If you're out there and I've been teaching a lot of women's conferences lately. If you're out there and you want to do a women's conference, you're interested in a man's perspective on women or a man coming down answering questions about men, go to my website, christianwinners.com. Hit the booking button. I would love to come and speak to a group of women. It doesn't have to be in a stadium or a hotel. I will gather at a community center. I'll gather in a trap house with in the hood, in the masjid, wherever, to gather with some women to talk to women from brothers' advice. I'll put that on my website. I think I'm gonna put that as something I really want to do that with a lot of women, to come and talk to you, sit with you, and answer questions and really get into it. That's available to you right now on Amazon. Brothers, go get my book, Home, Where Hurt Men Heal. It's on Amazon as well. Go get that book right now. It's on Amazon. Home, Where Hurt Men Heal. I wrote this book in 2022. I wrote this book while I was homeless. I was living in a car, in a borrowed car, matter of fact. And I sat back and God inspired me to write a book. I was in a car. I was losing weight by the pounds. I was surviving off water. Listen. And I wrote this book. Instead of giving up, I start writing. I figured, hey, I might as well help somebody even from this rough situation. So I wrote this book to men, Home, Where Hurt Men Heal. People are buying this book up. Men, 4 teenage boys bought this book last week. It's an amazing book. Go get this book on Amazon. And lastly, for people that are trying to understand the direction of the church, where it's going, what's going on with it, you can go buy this book on Amazon.com right now. It's available to you. The first half of this book is my life story from 14 to 41, traveling all over the world, teaching and ministry. I talk about my life, talk about my struggles, talk about sickness, suicide attempts, everything I went through trying to lead people from 14 to 41. And the second part of this book is the future of the church, where I believe the church is going. Church is completely changed. And I wrote in this second half of the book where I believe God is taking the church next. So they're all available to you. Thank you, y'all, for hanging out with me and listening to my commercial. Let me get back to the chat. Let me see. Yes, Takoa, people are marrying marriage. You're not marrying people. We're marrying marriage, right? We are. And I'm going to say something real hard right now, y'all. And listen, I know we got to be honest. We are more driven by entertainment. We want entertainment in our relationships, especially as Black people. I'm finding that a lot of us want relationships that are entertaining. That's why a lot of people like drama, because they like the entertainment of it. We also like the entertainment of a wedding ceremony. Again, that's why we marry marriage, right? A lot of girls, we like the concept of a baby shower. So we'll dress a young girl up in a beautiful dress and we'll put her on a throne and everything. We won't ask where a man is. We won't ask is she okay inside. We won't see where her mentality is. We'll dress her up, do her nails, do her feet, take a dress and open up uh, um uh, open it up so everybody can see her pregnant belly, and all the single women stand around this single woman about to have a baby. We got to realize, y'all, that this stuff, I'm not saying don't celebrate this girl or love on her, but love her enough to help her deal with what she has to deal with after that baby shower is over. Do y'all hear what I'm saying? We need wisdom in this world, ladies and gentlemen. Let me see. Adrian Bautista, let me see. And that's honest, and that honesty saves a lot of time and heartache. Absolutely. That honesty saves a lot of time and heart. Self-awareness is key. Yeah, absolutely. Self-awareness will be key every single solitary time. All right. All right, let me get into my notes and then I'll come back, okay? So number one, we were dealing with dating, or we're dealing with dating after divorce or long-term breakup, okay? We're dealing with that age range from 35 to 55 that's been divorced, or you've been a widow or widower, and you're trying to see what the dating pool and what's all going on. Number one, we talked about the emotional baggage that comes with dating after this age. Number two, we dealt with the fear of rejection or vulnerability it takes at this age. And once you hit this age, a lot of us aren't vulnerable as we used to be, right? Everything you're looking at, everything with the hairy eyeball now. You're different now, right? You get fearful of vulnerability, right? Why? Because of past experiences. Because you become more guarded, right? See, you got to understand, it's very important to build trust back in yourself. Let's pause right there, y'all. Let's pause and deal with that right there. See, a lot of times when you are this age and you're trying to get in this dating world again, many times it's not about trusting the people that's coming into your life. You don't know them. It's about trusting you again, especially after you've made bad decisions before. If you're on YouTube, hit that like button right now. It tells YouTube we got a dope show going on. All right, hit that like button. You see what I'm saying? We are so worried about trusting them. I got to find someone I can trust. No. Do you trust you? Do you trust you enough that you'll know you'll make a good decision? A lot of us don't trust ourselves. And it's easy to project, oh, you can't trust people. But a lot of you are really afraid you don't trust you. And that's the truth. Right? Rejection, vulnerability, we're scared of it. Right? Number three. One of the biggest things for people our age is dealing with that evolving dating landscape. The landscape has changed. It ain't like it used to be. Gentlemen aren't gentlemen anymore, right? Women aren't women anymore. There's a lot of takers out here now. A lot of people are trying to rebuild their lifestyle off of you. A lot of people have been hurt, and want you to heal. It's a lot different now, right? People aren't as committed anymore. You got to realize, think about it. It's not just in the dating world. There was a day when my parents, right? My parents and many of your parents in that generation, they would work a job for 20, 30 years. They would retire from that job. That's what they would do, right? They would retire from that job. That was what they did. Now people don't stay on certain jobs anymore. People don't stay 15, 20, 30 years on jobs anymore. People don't stay in the same apartments. People don't stay in the same cities. Things have changed. People are mobile now. The sad part about it is that mobility that has happened in this new generation is also in life. And with all my mobility, I may not want to stay in a relationship. You see, times have changed. What do you do at this age when we're used to commitment and home and children and Christmas trees and all the family stuff? What do you do in a dating pool where you're finding people that's not into that no more, or you find people your age that's living like a young kid, right? So the dating pool has completely changed, right? You got dating apps now. You got dating websites now. You got a whole lot. I think the other day I think Facebook got dating now, right? See, this is why we got to have these conversations, because the fact is dating is happening, and a lot of terrible dating is happening. It's better that we have mature conversation like we are right now with men and women in the room. That's why I'm so thankful for this community. All right, let me see. Let me see who's in the chat. All right. Let me see. We have to be on a personal journey of healing, before we offer ourselves to another person. Absolutely, you do. But you know what? You have to also admit the journey you're on. If you do meet somebody, you have to admit the journey you're on. Because I don't want to put people in this trap. I understand about healing and people healing before they move on, but let's be honest. A lot of we tell people that, but we don't even give people a measuring stick of what healing is. I think a lot of times that sometimes it's become cliche. You better heal first, right? It's cliche if you don't give people what that looks like. What does it look like to heal? What does it look like, right? And in a sense, the reality is, am I walking in a state of forgiving myself? Am I walking in a state of still blaming everyone else? If you're still blaming everyone else, you're not healed. You don't belong in a relationship. Right? If you still can't see where you've been broken and what's your fault and what you bring to the table, you're not ready for a relationship. I do agree that there's spaces where you're not ready. I also believe that you can be open and still allow yourself to be loved, but you got to be open. You can't be closed and expect open love. Let me see. Absolutely, Adrian. What do you know about yourself? That's the whole key. What do you know about yourself? Good morning, Ron McGee. Good morning, my man. Deep, absolutely. We in deep water today, Natasha. We out here. We out here with no life jackets and nothing. We out here. Let me see. Yeah. I got to take my commercial break. I got to because I teach, but I write books, y'all. And I want y'all to buy these books because these books are good. I've lived a lot of life to be able to write those books. Let me see. Yes, this is true. I'm thankful I have a good balance with both parents. Absolutely. See, that's the big thing. That having a base. A lot of people have no base, y'all. Right? You got to realize a lot of people in this dating pool have no base. Base camp is how you've been raised. A lot of people raise themselves. Right? Right? A lot of people raise themselves. A lot of people have been raised by media. A lot of people have been raised by TV, right? A lot of men learn intimacy from watching porn since they were 12 or 13 years old. That's why a lot of you brothers struggle with intimate relationships with women because you struggle all your life. You dealt with porn and you start to believe that pornography is intimacy. Y'all want to get into it? Because I'm never scared, right? This is a big thing. I've counseled many couples, right? I had a couple one time where the woman was like, look, I don't really, because I don't really, I'm okay with not having sex, but every now and then, this guy was like, look, I need it every day. Right? Was one wrong? Was one right? No. But imagine us not having that conversation. You see what I'm saying? It's very, 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 very important that we understand what's going on. A lot of people have been raised by media. You've been raised by reality shows. Come on, let's be honest here. A lot of women, you've been raised by reality shows. You begin to look at womanhood as a whole bunch of makeup all the time and a glass of wine in your hand. Right? A lot of men, you've been raised by hip hop. Right? So it's all about controlling this and controlling that, and ain't no woman gonna do this to me, blah, 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 blah. Right? And we're bringing that to the table, expecting healthy relationships. You know who I'm really scared for? Not us or not women. Not men or women. You know who I'm really scared for? I'm scared for the children we make in broken states. That's who I'm scared for. I'm scared for the children we make because the man is broken. The woman is broken. We come together. We have that baby. We break apart. I'm scared. That's what I'm afraid for. And so while we're talking about ourselves and love and this and that, maybe we should start really considering how we bring children into these disastrous situations. Maybe we should get wiser for them and not be so worried about us and our love life. Maybe we should secure our children to make sure they don't get screwed up like we were screwed up. And then they're going to bring us their brokenness and we're going to look at them wishing that we saved them from it because we were more worried about us dating than keeping them healthy. Let me see. So true, because a lot, as I got older, my dad became my best friend. Me too. And he came to one of my sessions and apologized for his part in my trauma. My mom didn't want to accept her part. I still forgave. Listen, y'all. This is no knock to women. I've just seen this a lot of my life, where a lot of women will not take any responsibility, will make up an argument to tear yours down, but it's no way I'm going to take responsibility for what you're talking about right now. Listen, y'all. And I know on the internet, somebody hear me say that, and some immature woman will say, well, who hurt him? Or they'll say something about Dash, or well, who hurt him? That's all immature talk. The facts are the facts. And I've talked to men all over the country and the world, and we all have the same story about women, that a lot of women just refuse to be accountable for anything. It's an image of perfection, and she'll grind you to powder, but will never admit it. I'm telling you, ladies, you could save your relationship today if you admit you got trouble, just like your man got trouble. Let me see. Life is tricky. Let me see. Please talk about mothers breaking their daughters and sons. Okay, let's talk about it. Let's get into it. Yes, we break our daughters. Yes, we break our sons. Let me tell you, I was broken. I had, listen, when you talk about being broken as a child, it doesn't say you had bad parents. Understand this. Many of us didn't have the information, right? On how to do things right. Another thing, in certain communities, parenting is rough because you're spending more time trying to just survive. I'm trying to survive here. I'm trying to pay the bills here. And what happens is, under that survival, it's hard to begin to start that parenting or be that intimate parent in there, understanding everything. Because when you're just trying to make sure they got food and trying to make sure they got clothes and they're growing all fast, a lot of times parenting gets sucked up in the needs and the outward needs of your child and the financial burdens you got to. And then we a lot of times we never get to that talk, that conversation. So and many times we do break our children, right? Right? Let's talk. Let's get into it. Mothers, because this is how, listen, this is a tough thing. There's a lot of mothers that are jealous of their daughters. Mm-hmm. We can talk about mothers that are jealous of their daughters. They're jealous. A lot of times women get jealous of their daughters because they had to go through so much that they went through in life. They can't see themselves beyond pain. There's a lot of women who their daughter begins to make something of their life, or their daughter becomes ambitious, or a lot of mothers see in their daughter something they saw in themselves that they never fulfilled. Some women are very proud of their daughters. There are other women that get very jealous of their daughters, that you're doing what I never did. There are some women that want to live through their daughter's life because of the mistake she made. She'll break her daughter. A lot of mothers will make their daughters feel unworthy when they're doing well because of what they suffered or what they never got. Absolutely. Many fathers break sons, right? My father almost broke me by saying, look, don't ever trust no woman. And I walked around for years saying, look, I'm never in the world am I going to trust a woman, ever, ever, ever in everness. You see what I'm saying? A lot of mothers break their sons. This is how single mothers break their sons. You buy them too much stuff to overcompensate for the fact that dad isn't around. Right? You're buying them the most expensive pair of sneakers. You're standing in a line at 7 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, waiting for sneakers while he lays in the bed. Right? A lot of you mothers that you're doing it. And guess what? I'm saying this out of love. A lot of you don't even know you're doing it. Again, this show is about wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Right? It's no attack. Right? You love that kid. You feel bad about the situation you brought him into. You know he needs his father. His father is not around. You don't know what to do. So you overcompensate with certain things that really, as a man, I'm telling you that boy, he'll look good in those sneakers. He'll be glad he had them. But really, a lot of boys just want to be able to say, this is how I feel. Mm-hmm. And you make babies of those boys. And when they grow up, they're not looking to date a woman. They're looking for mom 2.0. You see? Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes. A lot of us parents, we break our children because of our own pain that we never confronted. Yes, a lot of mothers break their children. right? And then and some of you that are just coming in, they're saying, well, why are you talking about women so bad? You got if you just came in, we were talking about this earlier. There's a lot of focus on toxic masculinity and broken fathers, but there's a big issue with broken mothers and toxic femininity that we never talk about. A lot of women break their children. Let me see. My mother's an amazing woman, but I only saw her communicate honestly about her feelings when she was upset and angry. You see? And guess what? That's what a lot of men experience with sisters. That we only get to hear you communicate when you're at the height of being pissed off. And at that point, when you want a man to listen to you when you're at the height of pissed off, then it's hard for him to listen to you because now you're in attack mode for what you didn't say to him before. Right? Let me see. Building trust back in yourself. Absolutely, y'all. I made that point earlier for some that's just coming in. It's very important that we build as a single person after marriage, after in this midlife, we're always scared of who we can't trust. And really, you should be scared of you. You should be scared of you. And you should need to build back trust in yourself. Do you trust you again? That's where your thing is going to come from. It's not, nobody barges in your life. You open the door. And if you open the wrong door for the wrong person, it breaks trust down in yourself. And now you're reflecting upon everybody else. Oh, ain't nobody out here trustworthy. And the truth is you trusting you again. And that's where the healing comes from. Let me see. Yeah, we gonna talk. We gonna talk because we ain't scared to talk. I love our community, y'all. I love that we're very, very vulnerable and grown in here. Right? That's why I came on the internet, because I saw too much trash out there. Let me see. Nia Taylor. That's why we shouldn't be having casual sex. Absolutely. Like, and this is the thing, y'all. When did that become a thing? Think about it. We're talking about our age now, right? I don't know the age of everybody in the room, but I'm just talking about the topic we're talking about today. Today, we're talking about starting over, dating after divorce, dating as a widower, dating after a long-term relationship. That group between 35 and 55, right? Why in the world? Where did it come from? There was a day where it wasn't about just casual sex. Oh, I can't say that on the internet. I'm sorry, y'all. Casual X, right? It wasn't about just doing it, right? What happened? The standard began to come down, right? And what drove it? Music. Come on, be honest, y'all. The music we like, because I don't see if y'all agree with me or not. The best music came out between 97 and 99. And a lot of that music was very, very bad, right? It was actually stimulating. Think about it. Adina Howard, right? Think about the songs that would come. My neck, my back, you gotta be old head to know what I'm talking about, right? right? Uchi Wally. My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard. Uncle Luke, pop, get it. So maybe the truth is, maybe it was our generation that ushered in the casual acts. Uh-oh. Maybe what we see in these kids now, could it be? Look, there are children. These kids out here, 17, 18, 19, 20, there are children. What that means is now we got to start taking accountability of what we ushered in. Y'all remember Big Mama used to be old. Big Mama used to be 65, 70. Now you got 35-year-old grandmoms who still get high and go to the club. That changes the dating pool, ladies and gentlemen. Let me see what's in the chat. Taj Mahal, to be honest, that's the biggest issue with our young men today. The mothers won't take accountability and responsibility for their actions. Absolutely not. Not knocking, but we need to look at that. Absolutely, we need to look at it. We need to look at it. Absolutely, it's not a knock. That's what I'm saying. That's what, our community. We don't knock. We grow. We don't knock. We grow. We don't knock men in here. We grow. We don't knock women in here. We grow. And to grow, you got to admit where you are. Right? Right? Us gentlemen, we have to admit, that we made the baby mom thing something. Right? Come on, y'all. Come on, gentlemen. Come on. Come on. Come on, stop frauding. Men, we drove this baby mama concept. And then we turn around and we knock single mothers as if we didn't make them single mothers. Oh, y'all want to talk now? Y'all want to keep talking? Let's keep talking then. You see? So we just talked about the women. We just talked about how they raise and break boys. We just talked about how jealous moms break their girls. We just talked about irresponsible women. Let's talk about irresponsible men. You can't knock a single mother when our generation made a bunch of them. We made a bunch of single moms, and then we glorified the BM, the baby mom. Oh, that's my baby mom. We made that a concept. We made it cool to say. Right? We don't call her the mother of our children. That would seem more respectful. We call her our baby mom. You know why you call her a baby mom? Because you didn't respect her when you were screwing her. See, women, when you become a baby mom, you got to realize when you're known as the baby mom, you were known as something worse before you became the baby mom. Because a man who respects you, a man who respects you, you're not going to be his baby's mom. You're going to be his mother's children, right? You're going to be his children's mother. And there's a certain respect that comes with that title. Y'all might not want to hear this, but it's the fact. That's why brother's talking to you. And this revelation is hitting me right now. Could it be that if you can just become a baby mom, maybe you were just an ex bucket before? Right? Right? Come on, gentlemen. Come on, gentlemen. We left houses. We left them babies. You didn't hang in there. And you know why a lot of you didn't hang in there? You didn't hang in there because you never even loved the woman you was laying with, bro. Come on. That's why you got to leave some of these women alone. Be man enough to say, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do. See, that's manhood. I'm always attacked on the internet when I say anything to men. That's how I know how soft some of y'all are. It's insane. In fact, I'm going to do a whole podcast on the softness of men. Some of my videos is crazy. The level of attack from men. Oh, you capping for these women. Wait a minute. If I have a Dear Brother podcast and I'm talking to men about strengthening men, how am I capping for women? Now, are there content creators that cap for women? Absolutely. There are men that just want to make money and they're manipulating all you women. And y'all run into their podcast. They don't give a damn about you. They're making money off you. They don't even know what to say to you to strengthen you. But some women are so desperate for advice, y'all just run to an imbecile to get it from. Right? Internets. Let me see. Let me go back to Tyler's statement. A lot of women don't want to take responsibility. A lot of men don't either. See, men don't want to take accountability. Women won't be honest about their situations. But guess what? This is the sickness of it. You got a group of men that don't want to take accountability. You got a group of women that will be honest about nothing, still making babies together. What kind of generations are we producing, y'all? Think about it. What kind of generations are we producing when we're coming to the table with no love in our hearts for each other? Yeah. So to your point, casual sex for what? Grow up. Grow up. That's what you need to do. You 40, 50 years old talking about casual sex. You're a kid. You're a little kid. Let me see. Especially if the mother had the daughter very young. Mothers blame children. Yes. Very good point, Nia. Absolutely. A lot of mothers blame children for what they couldn't do or what they can't become, as if you just popped up in their womb one day. And that's why y'all dads need to hang around. I'm a personal message to you fathers. Personal message to you fathers. Listen to me. Personal message to you fathers who had a child with a toxic woman. You must be there for your children. And you must not make a mess, no matter how toxic she is, no matter what she says, no matter what she does. You have to, no matter how hard it is, You have to live a settled life, be sober minded, and raise those kids, because you're going to have to protect that kid's mind from that toxic woman and her behavior. She'll do anything to get to you, even if she has to do it through your kid. You have to be a settled father when you're dealing with a woman that's toxic that you have a child with, because you have to be the safe landing place for that kid. Don't let that woman get you all caught up in that chaos and turn you into a monster. No, you got to be safe papa for wild mama, for that child. Let me see. Oh my God. Taj, dude, brilliant. If you enable a boy, you will disable a man. Yes, absolutely you will. Absolutely you will. See, because y'all got to realize this, y'all. And even some of you women out there who have, you're married and you have dad, right? Some of y'all that's not married, you're with the father, and y'all raising this baby. A mother's raising is different than a father's raising. Listen to me. A mother's raising is different than a father's raising. Women are nurturers. You're going to nurture that baby. You're going to let that baby know everything's okay all the time. You're going to let that baby know, I love you. You even though you're wrong, and blah, 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 and ha, ha, ha. Right? That's necessary. That's what God made women to do and to be. It's a necessary component. But don't think that the father is going to raise that child like you. It's not the father's duty to be nurture, nurture, nurture. The father's duty in the house is to be able to introduce a kid to what the world feels like while keeping them safe. The father's going to let them know that everything's not okay, and you can't operate that way. He's going to be more stern. He's going to be more challenging. Don't get in between that and say he's not being a good father. You got to understand the difference between a mother and a father, and that kid needs both of those rivers to be a productive adult. They need to be nurtured and challenged. Don't get in the way of a father that because you don't understand the discipline. And I'm not talking about somebody beating on a child. Lift your head right now. I'm talking about there's a difference between how a man and a woman raise a child. And the mother can't give a baby what a father can, and the father can't give the baby what the mother can. That's why it's always a working together. What does that mean then? What does the ultimate mean? Stop building relationships and having babies with people you have no intention with staying with. That child deserves more than that. And I'm saying that from a divorced position. I feel guilty a lot of times, wishing that I had not been divorced and having a regular in their relationship, instead of fighting for it. Now you got to get old, right? And I do it because I love my kids, but it'd have been a lot easier. You understand? That's just the facts. Let me see. Oh, y'all in this chat today. Goodness gracious. I'm trying to get through it. Let me see. Look at Tyler Perry's mother, who was a Christian woman and lied about his biological father. Absolutely. Damaging. Flat out damaging. See, but this is the thing. We never talk about that. Now, if Tyler Perry's father was beating him and throwing down the steps, we'd talk about it. See, there has to be a level of emotional balance between people. We can't keep on talking. Listen, ladies, you can't keep on allowing the woman to be a victim in every situation. You see what I'm saying? You can't, right? You cannot do it. You can't do it. Let me see. I'm so thankful for my parents, and the balance they provided me, but despite being a separate household. See, that's the thing. You got to fight harder for it. The same thing with my kids. You just got to. We're in separate houses. I fight harder for it. But that's the duty of a father. Some of you guys out there, it's the duty of a father. And don't use your children of your mother. Oh, she's crazy as an excuse. That has nothing to do with your children. She's mean. It has nothing to do with your children. And as men, you got to grow up. Oh, I don't want to deal with her. Well, that has nothing to do with your children, bro. Right? I'm talking from experience here. Okay. So I'm not just shooting the breeze. I'm telling you that you can do it. And I'm telling you how to do it. I don't care how toxic she is. Okay. Let me see. Now, wait a minute, Neatel. Y'all are crazy. Let me see. Let me see. Oh, y'all wild. I love this community. Good morning, everybody that's coming in. My God. Okay, we're streaming live on the Dear Sister podcast and the Dear Brother podcast. All right. All right. Also, before I'm gonna bring my man back up. Also, before I keep going, y'all, visit my website, christianwinners.com, okay? Visit my website, christianwinners.com. I do one-on-one coaching there, all right, for women and men. It was tied to the men at first, and a lot of women were like, listen, we want coaching too. We enjoy the podcast. We want to learn this and that. My coaching is donation-based, okay? Now, some people say, Christian, you crazy. Why would you do donation-based coaching? You got to get this money. Well, I've lived a life of faith all my life, so I'm not a capitalist. I'm into building human capital. So I've been way more blessed all my life by giving my gift away than trying to sell my gift. I'm not going to monetize my gifting. Okay. So some of you that need coaching is donation based. You can give the value of what I give to you. And then some of you who have some finance, you can give in order for me to help me coach other people that may not have anything. Okay. The reason I do it because I was in a situation where I was losing my mind. Right. I had buried my parents. I had buried my daughter all in 5 months. My mother and my daughter and my father died 4 months apart. I preached both of their funerals. I needed help and I didn't have no money, right? I never want somebody to be in a situation. Go to my website, christianwinners.com. You can set up one-on-one coaching. I also have group coaching. And for pastors and leaders out there, I have spiritual coaching for leaders because I pastored for 26 years. All right, let me see. Let me get back to the chat. Hayward Hamilton, my guy. Nah, bro, Tank messed up these folks. Yo. Yo, you got me snorting. Y'all are wild, yo. Let me see. Let me see. It was the best time and the worst of times. Yes, it was. Yes, absolutely it was. Let me see. Taj Mahal. We can't blame these kids for what we did. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And guess what? If we broke them, we can fix them. If we broke these babies, we can fix these babies. Y'all hear what I'm saying? And sometimes, look, we've experienced love and everything else. Listen, at this age and stage of your life, 85% of you can't be about relationship. It got to be about legacy. Let me pause right there, y'all. Let me pause right there so y'all can understand what I'm saying. At this age and stage of life, y'all, you shouldn't be so caught up in your next relationship. You should be thinking about legacy. And if you start thinking about legacy, then you'll do better choosing relationship. Y'all follow me? Get this. We've been on here for an hour and a half. I think this might be one of the strongest points we made today. All right? Grab a hold of that. Let me see. Good morning, Yolanda. Good morning, my sister. Let me see. I hate the BM term. Absolutely. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Let me see. Forget love. So many never even like the woman they laid with. Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, a lot of men, a lot of men have laid with women they can't stand. Right? But let's balance the conversation. A lot of women knew that man couldn't stand you when he laid with you. See, this is why I tell you, I'm putting out this book, right? It's got to be 2026, but I'm committed to putting out this book about emotional equality, right? Because it's easy. Look, it's easy for men to say, well, this is how women is. And it's easy for women to say, this is how men is. But the truth is, if a man that never cared about you was sleeping with you, if it wasn't assault, that means you allowed it. And listen, women, y'all can play fickle and coy like, oh, I didn't know what was going on. No, you do. You know when a man don't like you. You know when you are chasing a man. You know when a man is not really connected to you soulishly. You know that. And a lot of times, a lot of you ladies will sleep with that man thinking that after that event, then he'll connect with you soulishly. It'll never happen. If he didn't like you when he was laying down, he'll like you less when he gets up. That's the truth. It's a hard truth, but it is the truth. Let me see. Taj Mahal. I was always afraid to have children, as I was growing up because I was afraid to repeat what my father did, I knew I was too broken, so I avoided it. Yes. But this is the thing, Taj. Confrontation is what changes that, right? My father was very fast paced and hardcore and hard on us, right? When I had my kids when they were younger, I was very fast paced and hardcore on them. And right, it wasn't just my father that was like that. My life went like that as a 14-year-old preacher, right? My life was fast. I had to be an adult real fast, so I raised my kids that way. But one day I had to confront myself and say, why are you doing this? And then it hit me. That's how you were raised. When I confronted that, then I moved to a place where I could be a father, a better father. Taj, what I don't want for your life is I don't want you to live a childless life because you're scared. I understand your point, but just like I did, you have to confront that thing, recognize where it's coming from, be able to catch it if it tries to come for you. But don't deny yourself children. Confront the issue so you can be a great dad. Let me see. Yeah, absolutely, it's overrated. X is definitely overrated, right? Come on, some of y'all that had a whole lot of it, and we talking to people between 35 and 45, 35 and 55 today. When you really realize it, you really think about it, it is. It's a lot more to life than that. In fact, if you live the life, then the X will be better with the person you're with. But a lot of times you're leading with X, and a relationship sucks because of it. Right? Here we go. Danielle gets especially when the X is casual and uncommitted. Absolutely, it's nothing in it. There's nothing in it, sisters. There's nothing in it. Let me see. Alfonso Dashiell. People need to know the truth about generational cure. Is that curses or cures? Curses. Generation curses and where they come from. Absolutely. You know what generational curses thrive? Generational curses can be killed with conversation. Now I know this is going to offend a lot of you very spiritual people because you've been taught that you got to speak in tongues and roll on the floor and throw oil on the walls to break generational curses. No, you don't. Generational curses is nothing but this. A generational curse is something called temperament. Temperament is this. Temperament is your natural instincts that you learn from 6 people in your life. It's innate. You don't have a choice. It's in you from birth. It's from your 2 parents and your 4 grandparents. It's called temperament. And again, the church sometimes over spiritualizes things and start calling generational curses. And really it's a temperament. And so when we call it generational curse, we're looking to pray and speak in tongues and prayer groups and this and that. And I'm not knocking prayer. I'm a Christian man. What I'm saying is this, that a lot of times it's not a prayer you need to pray. It's a conversation you need to have with people in your family that have dealt with the same thing for you to even understand it. So is prayer in order? Absolutely. Prayer is in order after you've studied temperament and realized some stuff that's in you, it will never change. You win by recognizing it. But some things will be in every generation. It's not about a curse. It's about understanding and control. Let me see. That's a fact. I live with my son, and his mother. And I had to be very intentional, stable about how I move for his sake. Yes, I understand. Me too. Yes, it's definitely easier. But I am not staying in nothing unhealthy for my children. Absolutely. No. Yeah, no, that's not what I'm pushing at all. I'm not pushing that. What I'm saying is, we all have personal stories, right? That's what I'm saying. I'm never saying stay in. I don't agree with that. That's one thing I never would push. I never push that on anybody. Stay in an unhealthy relationship for the kids. No. I'm talking about when sometimes you're the cause of the problem, right? You're the cause, or you're scared, or you're anxious, and things go on. But no, I would. When I say easier, what I mean is more healthy for even me, because I want to be there for them all the time. But I definitely understand what you're saying. I wouldn't tell anybody to stay in a bad relationship. Heck no, because that's not even good for the kids. Hayward, you crazy, bro. You are insane. A lot of women don't understand men. At our big age, we too busy trying to make them want us for all the wrong reasons. Absolutely. That's why I started the Dear Sister podcast. Natasha. That's why I started the Dear Sister podcast, so women can understand men. Women, and I think a lot of times, I don't think a lot of women want to understand men. I think a lot of women want to just mold men in their image and after their likeness. And this is the dangerous part. A lot of women, your image for a man is something you made up in your head as a little girl. This is how a man is, and this is how my prince is going to treat me, and blah 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 blah. And this is the problem. You made that up when you were a little kid. It's not based on anything. And then you're looking for a man to become that fantasy. A man can't become, no man, I don't care how good he is, he will never be able to become what you made up in your head. Just as much as you guys out here to have this magical woman in your life who is this and she's that and you made her up in your head, no woman's able to match up to that. And you will wind up sabotaging every relationship, trying to get somebody to become something that's fake that you made up in your mind. Again, a lot of us don't want relationship. We want something that's in our imagination. A lot of people don't want to get married. They want to marry marriage. You got to understand, in this love thing, you know what we miss the most? We miss the humanity part of love. We love the fantasy part of love. We miss the humanity part of love. And if we understood the humanity part of love, we'd be able to build better relationships. But we don't want the human part, because the human part makes us go up and down. The human part makes us be vulnerable. The human part makes us confront ourselves. We don't want that part. We want the fantasy where there's no pain and everything's perfect. But that's fake. That's not real. Don't marry marriage. Marry a person. Don't date dating. Date a person. Humanity, ladies and gentlemen. Let me see. Yeah. All right. Let me jump back in here. Let me see. The humanity part of love. Absolutely. That's all it is. That's all it is. See, we over spiritualize relationships and my destiny partner and we're a power couple and we shut up. You're two human beings that have to figure out how to take two lives. One person 40, the other person 38, and now you're taking a person that's 40 and 38, and now y'all got to meld two lives together. You got all your experiences, all your ups and downs, all your turmoil, all your peace, and now you're bringing this together? No, that's a human thing. That's a human thing. That's human sacrifice, right? We over spiritualize it. We over fantasize it. It's two human beings coming together. It's nothing pretty about a collision of two human beings trying to become one. My God, come on, y'all. We would make this thing a whole lot easier if we stop playing ourselves. Realize it's human. Adam was a human. Eve was a human. Adam had to lose something to gain Eve. Eve had to lose something to become part of Adam. This is human. This is human. This is the beauty of humanity. It's the same reason why some of y'all religious people can't really understand Jesus, because you won't see him as a human, even though he told you he was. But that's for the Christian Activist podcast. Just to let you know, I have 3 podcasts. I have the commercial time. I have the Dear Brother podcast that you're on right now, the Dear Sister podcast that you're also on right now, and I have the Christian Activist podcast. That's where I'll be teaching this book, okay? I'll be teaching this book on the Christian Activist podcast, the future of the church. I'll be teaching the future of the church on the Christian Activist podcast, okay? All right, let me see. All right, let's get back. All right, so let me go over my notes again, y'all. Dating after divorce, dating after long-term, dating after being a widower. Number 1, you got to watch and be careful of the emotional baggage you're going to bring. You're going to bring. I didn't say you might bring, you're going to bring. You've been on this earth too long, right? You got to be careful with the baggage you bring. And I know a lot of people say, well, what I'm supposed to do with this baggage? No. You can bring baggage. You just got to keep it on your own shoulder and explain it to the other person. Baggage is not bad. Baggage only becomes bad when you don't want to admit that you have it. You got a whole big bag of trash over your back talking about, what's that? Nothing? No, it's something. So it's not that you can't have baggage, but you got to keep it on your shoulder and explain to the other person what it is. Fear of rejection and vulnerability. That's another thing that our age group goes through. Number three, the evolving landscape of dating is wild now. It's not what we thought it was. Parenting and family dynamics. We talked about that a little bit. Number five, self-doubt and body image. Let's get into that for a minute before we go. Right? Dating between 35 and 55, after divorce, after losing your spouse, perhaps, right? Or never dating or never being married or anything at all. And you're just at this age after some bad relationships. A lot of us go through self-doubt and body image. Am I good enough? Am I attractive? See, that's why I love this channel, y'all, because we don't dodge things and we talk, we look for healing here. But that's a real thing. Am I attractive? Do I look good? Right? Do I still have it? Right? Do I have the energy for it? Because I know me, I'm trying to get in bed between like 8 o'clock and 9:30 these days. Right? Where's the energy to date somebody? Where's the energy to, you see what I'm saying? Body image, do I look good? You see, these are all issues, the insecurities we bring, right? Especially if you've been treated bad in an old relationship. And now you're trying to be with somebody new, and the person you were before dogged you, never had you feeling good about yourself. You're carrying that in. And now you're wondering, well, I wasn't good enough for him. Am I good enough for him? I wasn't good enough for her. Am I good enough for her? That's a lot of baggage at this age and stage. Self-doubt. As a man, do I have enough money? Right? Can I entertain her? Right? Right? Even after some of us are this age, you got sicknesses, you got different things going on in your body. Will I be able to please them intimately? Right? A lot of you ladies, body image, I don't want him to see my body. See, it's a lot of things, y'all. A lot of things. Let me see. The biggest thing listen, let me give y'all a piece of advice. The biggest thing you can do at this age and stage of your life in the dating pool is to be self-aware and to have self-compassion. Two of the greatest things you need in this dating pool, if you're between 35 and 45, is self-awareness and self-compassion. Because at this age, confidence is your greatest piece. Let me see. Let me see. It's hard out here for a pimp. All jokes aside, was married for 23 years. Dating is something else. Absolutely. You've been committed for somebody for 23 years, right? That's like a person that spent a whole bunch of time in prison and now they out. It's like, what happened to the world? Wasn't no cell phone, wasn't no computer. You see what I'm saying? Now you out here. You've been locked in a committed relationship all these years, and now you out here with a bunch of wolves. Right? I'm gonna say this to y'all, and I think it's very important. Adam, and I'm speaking directly to the men now. Listen, brothers. God said, Adam, he said, it's not good for you to be alone, right? That was a certain point in Adam's life when God said that. He never said that before that time. There was a time when Adam was alone and God never said it wasn't good for him to be alone. That statement means that there was also a time where it was good for him to be alone. You got to know the times, brothers and sisters, in this point. You got to know the times where it is good for you to be alone. It was a season in Adam's life when he was putting that garden together. He was getting to know himself. He was getting to know his faith. He was getting to know, most of all, his ability. Because remember, God gave him an empty world and said, you name everything. He never knew he had this power. He was running around practicing his authority. And he got to know himself, right? By himself. And that was good for him to be alone. Then God said, it's no longer good. It's not good for you to be alone, right? Anymore. Right? So he said, I'll make you a helpmeet. Why did God make him a helpmeet? Because a man who doesn't know himself, a single man who doesn't know himself, doesn't know his worth, will eventually start looking around at the animals. And I think some of you brothers, you got your focus off your purpose. You got tired, you got horny, you got bored. And you start dating the animals because you wouldn't wait for Eve. Yee, let's move on. Don't settle. No, no, don't settle. Don't settle. Yes, wolves indeed. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me see. Let me put another question on the table. All right. I got about 15 more minutes, 20 minutes to be with y'all. Let me put another question on the table. Um, what lessons from your past relationships do you carry into new dating experiences? Right? I'm gonna put that question. I'm gonna put two on the table. Two on the table. Two questions on the table. First question: what lessons from your past relationships do you carry into your new experience? Second question: how do you balance excitement of new relationships with the caution that comes from past heartbreak? All right. Let me put those questions. I'm gonna put them back on the table. All right. Number one question: what lessons from your past relationships do you carry into new relationships? Second question: how do you balance the excitement of a new relationship with the caution that comes from past heartbreak? Let me see. Yes. You see what I'm saying? You date the animals. You get tired. You start looking at the chicken heads. You feel me, Natasha? That's exactly what it is. Right? If a man is not self-aware, see the why. Listen, y'all. Why? How was Adam able to know who Eve was? He was only able to know who Eve was because he knew himself. What did he say? He said when he saw Eve, he said, "What? Bone of my bone." He was asleep. He didn't even know what God took from him. He didn't know God took anything from him at all. Right? But when he saw Eve, he said, "Bone of my bone." How did he know? He knew himself enough to know when he saw himself in another form. When you know who you are, my brother, you will be able to properly identify who she is. I can look at times in my life and look at who I chose to know. I didn't know me enough, or I didn't love me enough. I didn't research me enough. And some of you had the same experiences where you didn't love you enough, you didn't research you enough, you didn't know you enough. And that's that. And the person you chose is a picture image of your confusion about you. Right? That's the facts. That's the facts. Let me see. Horny, tired, and bored. That's a combination, ain't it? That is a combination. And guess what kind of decisions get made when you're horny, tired, and bored? Terrible. Check, check, check. Can y'all hear me now? Let me know if you can hear me. All right. Check, check, check. All right. All right. Good. Sorry. Can y'all hear me now? Sorry, everybody. All right. I'm back in the building. Let me see. All right. Thank you, everybody. All right. So questions on the table. Questions on the table right now. Questions on the table right now. What lessons from your past relationships do you carry into your new dating experiences? And the second question we got on the table is, how do you balance the excitement of a new relationship with the caution that comes from heartbreak? Let me see. Good morning, Boog. Boog says, don't date potential. Woo wee. All right. Don't date potential. Do not date potential. Let's talk about that. Anybody else been there? You ever date potential? What is that? What is that like? What is dating potential like? Are we dating? Are we dating? Does dating potential mean, are we dating hope? Are we dating hopefully? Is that what that is? Are we dating hope and this person is something? And let me ask y'all this. So what's the lesson here? Is the lesson what's the lesson? If we don't date potential, how, that's the question. Let's put that question. How do you not date potential? What's the goal? What do you do to not date potential? What do we have to do to not date potential? Do we slow our pace down? Or do we date potential because we're too excited about love or being loved? What's our goal? What's our goal? Let me see. All right. Okay. So dating potential, what's the, when you date potential, are you dating something? Are you dating what you made up in your mind about the person? Is that what we do when we date potential? Are we dating what we hope the person will be? Or do we make up in our mind what they will be? Because a lot of times that's the issue sometimes, guys. Sometimes we date based on what we hope the person will be, and the person never promised us they'll be that. Right? Sometimes we do that. We date what we think the person could be. Let me see. Karen Paris, let me see. See people for who they really are, and stop ignoring red flags. Why do we ignore red flags, Karen? Let me talk deeper to us about that, Karen. Why do you think we ignore red flags? Because that's where the healing comes in, right? Healing comes in as we talk about why we do certain things. Let me see. L Boog in the building, dating a fantasy. Yes, hope. Shake my head. I'm believing exactly who you show up as, right? Because that's the fair way. That's the only fair way to date and to know is to date who you show up as. Absolutely. Right? And not make that fantasy up in our head. And listen, ladies, I think for a lot of ladies, that's your issue. You will make something out of a man that he never told you he was. You'll make up stuff in your head that he never said. Right? A lot of times you date the cartoon you made. And then that cartoon disappoints. Let me see. Lesson 1, less talking and more listening. And you know what? And I see what you're saying, Teresa. I think a lot of ladies, especially if they've been single for a while, if you've been single for a while and you really want to date somebody, a lot of times you will do more selling yourself to a person that you don't even know if they are worth you being with. Right? That's what I'm saying. Loneliness. What do they say? They say, do not go to the market when you're hungry. Right? Because you'll just pick up anything. It's the same thing. Don't be in a dating pool when you're lonely, ladies and gentlemen. You'll pick up anything. You ignore everything just because you need a moment. You need time with that person. You got to be very careful. You got to care for yourself better than that. All right? Oh, man. All right. So let me go through these again, y'all, because I got to, let me see. I got 5 minutes. All right. In fact, let's do this. Let's go to Dear Brother, the advice. All right, let's go to Dear Brother, the advice, and we can spend spend a little more time in here. Dear brother, the advice is Q&A, gentlemen. Let's put our genius in the chat. If you need advice before I go today, I always like to end my shows with advice because we do a lot of teaching, a lot of laughing, a lot of talking. But I want to be able to give advice to some people, okay? Same thing for dear sister, dear sisters, the advice, dear sister, the advice, all right? If you're on YouTube right now, hit that like button, everybody. Subscribe to the channel. Share it with somebody else who you know will grow from this. We have Relationship Friday every Friday, all right? So dear brother, the advice, dear sister, the advice, and dear brother, the advice is up right now. And I'm going to ask y'all to do one more thing for me, okay? One more thing for me. Every Friday is Relationship Friday, where I bring both podcasts together and we talk about relationships. I'm going to ask you to do one thing for me. Drop some different. I like to just address the things you guys want to talk about. So every Friday again is Relationship Friday. We're not scared of any topic. We'll put any topic on the table. I want you guys in the chat right now to drop some topics that you're interested in us talking about on Relationship Fridays. I'll write them down and we'll build our shows based on that. All right? All right, that's what I want you to do. So two things we're looking for in the chat right now. If you need Dear Brother the advice, we're up right now for Dear Brother the advice. For any brothers that need advice about where you are, anything, business, relationship, your feelings, how you should go about something. We're also doing Dear Sister the advice right now. You can drop your thoughts in the chat, your questions in the chat. And again, one more thing I'm asking you to do today is I'm asking you all to drop some topics for Relationship Friday in the chat. And that's what we'll go after. Let me see. Miss Gibson, to avoid dating potential, you have to take people for who they are, and observe their other relationships, right? Patterns and behaviors. That's true character. Understand that you will possibly be on the other side of that character when the new wears off. Absolutely. This is the thing, especially ladies. I'm going to challenge you, ladies. I'm going to challenge a lot of you ladies that you know when somebody is how they are. Ladies, come on. Be honest with bro today. I'm just your brother. I ain't trying to date you. I ain't trying to pull no wool over your eyes, right? Be honest with me today. A lot of you ladies know flat out who this guy is. You do more ignoring than not knowing. Men do a lot of not knowing. Men do ignoring too. I believe women do a lot more ignoring than not knowing. Y'all will know flat out. Your girlfriend will peep it. Your mama will peep it. Because you in a situation, you'll ride with it anyway. Come on, ladies, be honest. Y'all know. Okay. All right. I think we're good now, y'all. Sorry about that. All right. All right. Let me go back in the chat. My apologies, y'all. Tech stuff. All right. I think we're good now. Sorry about that, everybody. Let me see. I got you, Danielle. I think we're up on. Let me know, y'all. Go in the chat. Let me know that y'all can hear me. I think I'm back up now. Let me see. Karen Paris. Because we have stated how wonderful the person is, and too embarrassed to allow people to know we jumped the gun. Ooh, and come out the blocks too fast. That's strong, Karen. That's strong. That's very strong. That's a strong point right there. We tell people how wonderful the person is, and then too embarrassed, yes, to tell people it didn't work out. Let me see. That's real. We do a lot of ignoring. It did it with my ex-husband. Saw all kinds of red flags waving at me. And acted blind toward them. Why? Why, ladies? Because I want to hear from you. Why is it, y'all? Why is it? Let me see. Let me see. All right. For sure, some just don't care. Then we get caught up with the ex. And then it's their fault. Yes, absolutely. Let me see here. All right, y'all. We are at, my goodness, we're at our 2 hour point. Thanks so much for y'all hanging out with me today. I have to go. I have a meeting that I have to attend this morning, so I have to go. But thanks so much, everybody, for hanging out with me. Always remember this. I want to say to the guys, you mattered every day, gentlemen. And I want to say to the ladies, my show closed to the ladies, you're worth it. To the guys, I want to say you matter. To the ladies, I want to say you're worth it. To the guys, I will say you matter. To the ladies, I want to tell you, you are absolutely worth it. Remember that. Remember that every day, all right? And say it with me. This is how we end the show every single day, everybody. Yesterday is history. Yesterday is absolute history, and tomorrow's an absolute mystery. All you have is right now. The question is what you're going to do with it, what you're going to do about it. You're loved by me. No fear, no shame, no compromise. Everybody have an excellent day. Have an excellent weekend. I'll see you all soon. Hit the like, the share, subscribe button. Go to my channel. Buy my books. Thank you so much for hanging out, everybody. Everybody have a wonderful Friday, a wonderful